Fire! Fire! Hello everybody and welcome to Tales of Eternia. We are just cruising through this awesome RPG. I am your host, YSGuru, and we are on Disc 3 of 3. The final disc in this story, which straight up starts in Rid's hometown, which is completely destroyed. Farah is there blaming herself, saying it's all my fault. I killed everybody. She just wanted the small piece of a star crystal. So she blames herself, saying she's a bad person and she just wanted that crystal. But Rid's kind of having a little bit of a backflash here of their childhood. Farah's saying, I killed my mother and killed my father and everybody else. And so Farah's been carrying this guilt, with her for quite a number of years. Rid finally realizes. And of course we wake up here at the sort of medical room at the Shershka base of operations where Fog is in control. If you remember the last episode, we tried to blast the barrier that was around Shizel's castle, but we failed and it started a rather large chain reaction that was a giant tsunami. And that pretty much knocked Rid unconscious. I love it. Quickie's there playing with Fog's Didi-chan, his Miyakis. Surprised I haven't seen any other Quickie animals. You'd think with Quickie being, close to Melody, it'd be a popular animal. But anyway, we're going back to Badiru's castle here to check on the, cranial cannon. And something bad has happened. The Inferian army is here. Not sure how they got here, to be honest, but a lot of them have been killed and waylaid by somebody. It's Hyades. This time he's powered up even more. And Roin, he's the, leader of the guard from Infidia, if you remember. He thinks that's Badiru. But of course that's not Badiru. And it looks like Hyades has taken a hostage. And Royan thinks he's between a rock and a hard place here. Because he thinks that, Rid is also an enemy. As you remember, the king considers them the Celestian dogs. But we're here to fight with Hyades. He is not Badiru. So after some quick explanation, it's time to kick this guy's butt again. But that's okay. I enjoy kicking this guy's butt because he's a jerk. For some reason I'm kind of low on TP here. Whoa, he's got some powered up moves. So time to use Nurse. I love it. There's like a door that opens up. You usually don't see it, and then the nurses all come in and administer healing. Once again, you'll notice the small pause for some of the spells. So I'm sorry about that. I really don't know why the game does that. I just think it's the PlayStation 2 struggling with an old PlayStation 1 disc, having difficulty finding the track for the animation for the spell. Some dramatic poses. Yeah, no mercy on this guy at all. Medity, man, she is just rocking this guy's world with Thunderblade. That's why I love this game. The battle system is just so much fun. So if you remember, Hyades was, Medity's kind of mentor when she was a little girl. And, she mentioned that he used to be a kind person, but apparently he was also 100%, controlled by Nereid there. As you can tell, the black mist sort of left his body. So of course the true villain is Nereid, the ultimate embodiment of pure hate, evil, and destruction. So yeah, Roin here, he's hard to convince. So he's explaining what happened to Race and everything. But what's interesting is Roin doesn't understand what the old man is saying here because it's Melnix. So he asks Rid, what did the old man say? Mentioning Race, but it's kind of interesting. Rid has to actually translate here because he has the translation earring. We got back there a long time ago on disc 1, and so the Inferians can't really understand the Celestians because of the language barrier. As I said before, it's definitely one of the unique things about this game. Having the different language between the two worlds is very interesting. As a game developer, it probably made some things pretty tricky. Had to be careful. Oh, and Fog rescues his second in command. So Garanos here asks that, Roin would cooperate with them so that the two worlds could work together to stop this great evil. And then, of course, we have the usual epic meeting of all the bigwigs. Goin, representing the Amphibian army, and Fog representing the Shaushka sort of rebel army of Celestia. And then we got our two science geniuses from the two different worlds. Pretty cool. It's like all worlds are now combined. But of course the Amphibians don't trust the Celestians quite yet. Rid's gonna have to have a talk there with Zoshimos. So hopefully we can have a bit of a peaceful alliance here. For all of Eternia's sake. Shake hands, punch you! That's how Fog does negotiations. Yes, let's hear from Galenos and Keel now. The voices of reason, rather than these other people. So we're going to go over the plan here, basically. I'm going to cut this out because it's a pretty long conversation, but in a nutshell, we're going to do a fringe. The ultimate fringe. Which is a very cool concept, in my opinion. Like, so far in this game, we've been doing a fringe between elementals in the Cramal Cage. And now we're going to do a gigantic fringe with Cramal cannons to break the barrier. So it's kind of cool how they've tied everything together, and in the game, and like oh hey, we get to do this epic fringe instead of a normal fringe of the elementals. But anyway, Farah mentioned that there's a special material that we need for the Cramal Cage, the Cramal Cannon's lenses. We need a crystal, and this is where it's at. See what kind of enemies we have here. So Rid pretty much, breaks the door down, and if you remember, this is where bad things happened during our childhood, during our main character's childhood, not your guys' childhood, but the main character's childhood here. If you remember, Rid's second test was here, and some things happened. Wow, those guys are worth a lot of experience. So now we get to explore this place, legit. One of the first dungeons that you kind of see on the map when you first start this game, but like, this is the first time we have access to it here near the very end of the game. And it's kind of nice knowing exactly what's coming up, because we did this in the backflash with Rid's test. So the camp is in the same place, everything's the same as when we were kids. I mean, when they were kids.
思い出せない。昔ここで見たもの。
So Rid is wondering, are you sure that the crystal stone is here that we need? And Farah reminds them, like, we were here before. You know, don't you remember long ago when they were little children? She had actually asked them to come in here and look for it because she selfishly wanted it. Meredy doesn't know what they're talking about, of course, and is wondering what's up. So Keel's going to explain, you know, kind of what happened long ago with the three of them as children, and how Farah blames herself, and the truth kind of is going to come out here. It's a long conversation. I'll cut it a little short. But of course, we don't blame Farah, and she was kind of like the leader at the time when they were kids. The leader of their little band of 3 adventurers. Dang it, Quickie, you're mooning me again. Stop it. Alrighty. After a nice little scene where all is forgiven and I find a dead end, we're gonna head into the place where Rid and Keel found the Hoshi no Kakera when they were little kids. Oh hey, here's that ominous Melnick's warning of doom. But this time we have Meredy with us. Unfortunately, she can't read it. It's incredibly old Melnick's. Thanks a lot, Meredy. You're a big help. Pretty nasty looking enemies we have in this place. They are no match for our 2 mega spellcasters. Like I said, it's, you know, kind of difficult to use chat and fog in the party just because, you know, Keel and Meredy make an incredibly powerful combination, having them alternate spells, and Farah's just a tank and, you know, Rid's the main character, so this is really the major group for most of the game. Oh, hey, an elixir. I can always go for those. If you remember, we walked down into this location. The village elder did in the memory, but we didn't actually get to see this far. Suddenly, Wendine shows up. And she's telling us we need to be very careful going through this cave. So this is kind of an interesting dungeon. The sort of green glowing areas will give a green glow at Rid's feet, and as you walk it slowly recharges TP, but in some other areas that are kind of reddish, TP will be drained. So instead of a health drain, or, you know, increasing health, it's actually a TP drain, or TP being restored. So in one way, this is a good place to level up some of Farah and Rid's skills, because you can wander around in the green areas and have infinite TP regenerated without having to use items. But yeah, going in the sort of these purplish, blackish areas, you'll have a red aura around your feet, which is draining the TP. But I'm just going to go ahead and go straight through the dungeon here, cutting out most of the fights. Like, once again, all the dungeons in this game, they've always done something interesting, something unique. And, you know, even here near the end, we get a pretty cool, you know, effect that you have to be careful of. But yeah, some of the green areas, you could just sort of walk back and forth, restoring your TP infinitely, and do some battles. Oh, I meant to go down there and kick that rock. And kick another rock. There we go. So now our path is clear. Not a really complicated place, but still pretty interesting. Feels like those should be entrance areas, but anything hidden back here? Nope. Okay then. I tried. Just wanted to hang out in my favorite dead-end location. So here we have a very ominous and creepy doorway. And suddenly the three Kramal spirits combine into Rem. And she has an incredibly ominous warning saying, you know, we should not go beyond this point. This is an incredibly dangerous place. Of course, Farah's wondering what's next, and Keel knows that somehow Nereid, this is Nereid's place. So Rem is, even though she warned us, she's going to do the usual test. We're going to have to fight Rem. This can be a pretty tough fight if you're not careful of that glowing orb that's with her, which is indestructible, and it'll really knock you around. We'll just do some Celsius actions. So there you can see I ran my face into it several times. Gotta wait for it to be out of the way, and then try to get Rem into a position where she's away from the crystal. That way it won't interfere with your casters or anything. So this is actually a battle where positioning the party is actually very important. Staying away from that glowing orb. One thing that's interesting to note is that glowing orb doesn't affect Quickie at all. Like, he can run right through it. Whereas if it touches your characters, you know, it interrupts them and knocks them around. It does some pretty decent damage too. But Quickie is totally unaffected. That's the way he rolls. He is the indestructible, ultimate animal companion. There we go. Gotta move Rim away from that crystal. Because if she's right on top of it, this makes it hard to do any kind of hits. Okay, this was a pretty long fight, so I went ahead and did a little transition there and kind of cut it in half to save a little bit of time. But yeah, pretty epic fight with Rim, and she decides that she'll work with us, and we actually get Rim herself in our Cramo cage, which is totally awesome. Now we have the light elemental. Let's do our fringe here. My favorite thing to do on a rainy day. So she gives us Ray and Holy Breath as possible spells for the moment. So apparently this is where Nereid was imprisoned. You in that crystal. And this is the crystal we are looking for. 100% pure piece of it. And we need this to make the lens for the Cramo cannon so we can do our super fringe. But apparently Nereid was trapped here, and it's interesting to note that the Celestians have this weakness to Nereid. They have that Irara, that little crystal in their forehead, and Shizel, of course, was fully consumed. And that's why Nereid is imprisoned here in Infidia, because what better place to put him than a different world where he can't affect the Celestians. So suddenly Medity here is having some trouble concentrating, and she's asking for help. She feels something awful, and suddenly she's talking like somebody else, switching to Melnix. Ancient Melnix. Farah's worried suddenly she can't understand. And Medity is, being consumed here. Fortunately, we have Rem to show up. Keel realizes that darkness is Nereid's, influence. So we need to get Medity out of here. But that's where Nereid was imprisoned. Somehow he got out of that crystal, Remember, it was, totally shattered, but the event is kind of unknown. It may have occurred when Shizel went, crazy and desired revenge when her family was being murdered. But apparently the Celestians have this weakness to Nereids' influence, but Inferians don't. And so Nereid was imprisoned and kept here in Infidia 2,000 years ago. Alright, our medity is a little bit better now. Thank goodness. I wouldn't want an evil medity wandering around. But yeah, now we know what's up with Shizel, of course. She used to be a normal, loving mother, and then she was completely consumed by Nereid. Not necessarily her fault, but hey. But alrighty, we've rescued Medity here and done a dungeon and gotten our new light summon. So I think this is a good place to pause the playthrough. I want to thank everybody for watching. Hope you've enjoyed so far. We're actually getting close to the end of this game. And I will be doing some of the side stuff, which is not really long. So definitely look forward to that. And hope you'll stick with me till the end. And of course, being back here in Farah's room, we'll grab some stuff from her makeup kit. Natsukashii desu ne. Nice to be back in the old village. Alright, we'll see everyone in the next episode. Thanks for watching. じゃあ皆さん、またね